There are some new updates if you want to get placed on one of Deadlock's global leaderboards, either overall or hero specific. Some updates to how the game is paused and unpaused. And we also have some leaks about an old hero that we haven't talked about in quite a while. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and we have another kind of signature shadow patch today from Yoshi and the rest of the Deadlock development team. So I want to go over everything that at least I have seen so far in today's shadow update. And I'll start with what I've got on screen here. So in the global leaderboard section, there is a new kind of flavor text that basically says that you need to play a minimum of 50 games in the last 30 days and 500 games total to appear on global leaderboards. And then specific heroes actually outline that you have to play 20 games on this hero in the last 30 days. And again, have played the 500 games in general to be placed on the hero specific leaderboards. So if you're trying to get placed on Lash or Apollo, for example, you have to have 20 games the last 30 days on either one of those heroes to get placed there. So this is a new system, I think, to probably prevent Smurf accounts from just kind of quickly climbing the ranks of the global leaderboards, and also just to make sure, again, that if you're going to have a top ranking on a hero, that you're playing that hero regularly. The next part of today's update relates to pausing and unpausing, and this was originally found by Deadlock Project 8 or DDL Express here is who's cited, but essentially there's some new lines of code kind of relating to the countdown of how the timer starts and stops whenever you're pausing a game. But the biggest thing is that there's actually something now in the game that will keep your reticle or keep your view where it was when you pause the game, when you unpause it. So no longer, at least according to this, should you be able to pause the game as a Vindicta, get your reticle right in position to headshot someone, and then unpause it and shoot them. So if that's the case, really sensible change. If they're going to keep pausing in this game, there has to be something like this to keep kind of, competitive integrity a little bit more intact. But as a testing tool, I understand why we have pauses in the game, but nonetheless, good update here. Now moving on to the speculation and kind of the leak side of things. We have a new hero leak we'll talk about here in a second, but I also wanted to talk about this post Deadlock Project 8 also posted today, claiming that Doda_DM, famous Dota 2 data miner, thinks that Deadlock update will have 5 new heroes and may be released after the international. This is basically going to be in late August in China, and citing that Ice Frog often attends Dota events. Ice Frog being who Yoshi is claimed to be, and that there should be a patch after this point. Again, there's really no kind of evidence offered here to support that claim outside of just the ethos of the person talking, who is this Dota DM person. I'm not super familiar with Dota, so I can't speak to the credibility of this claim necessarily, but late August would be a long time for an update. Now there could very easily be something else before then, and the whole idea that we're talking about new heroes is pretty wild. Obviously, always heroes in development for this game, but we haven't really necessarily been talking about anyone specific, except for this other hero that was talked about a few months ago. And that takes us to a leak that we actually got just a little bit ago from Minesweeper about an old hero that we haven't heard about in a long time, and that is Cheshire. I actually didn't cover Cheshire just a ton on the channel. I think I maybe mentioned one video about this hero when it was first mentioned as this hero that could do some similar things to Calco and Rem in entering the tunnels, but we didn't really know much else about him. But according to Minesweeper, at least, these are the 4 abilities. So Cash Grab, which is a projectile that he shoots out, slowing the enemy and causing them to drop souls on the floor, which can be picked up after a short amount of time in the path that the hero was slowed. So a kind of a cool ability to take some souls from somebody. That's a really cool dynamic ability that we'll probably eventually see in Deadlock. Switching with the Rat, which Minesweeper basically said is just functionally Calco 3. You'd basically be able to go into the tunnels and do the things that you would be able to do. But the other really interesting thing about Cheshire is the 3, which allows you to put your teammate in a bag, kind of like Rem, but inverted. You can take teammates with you. I don't know if you can also take them with you down into the tunnels. I imagine you would be able to. I don't know if they would be able to be trapped, though. Maybe there's an elevator added in the tunnels in the future. Who knows? But in any case, there isn't much else known about this hero. I hesitate to talk too much about it, but I only bring it up in conjunction with the news about what was talked about this Doda_DM leaker. It really may be the case that new heroes are being worked on. This may be one of the first heroes being worked on, so it's interesting. It feels like it's time again, to start speculating about really what is earnestly coming next to the game. Shadow updates like we got today and these kind of rumors about new heroes really do usually feel like the first steps towards that, which usually kind of precedes the early, I guess new patch hype, time period where we usually do expect a patch coming. I feel like we're kind of in that now, still have a little bit of time to go, but nonetheless, whether it's August or late July or anything like that, I do think that we should expect something this summer. Overall, though, I would expect a lot more of these kind of shadow updates as devs continue to kind of add these things to the game that probably don't quite warrant patch notes. I know the other day, Apollo had some new flair added to his riposte, for example. Little things like this probably won't get featured in patch notes unless they're bundled with these kind of greater changes. So expect more of them. I'll try and cover them here as much as I can. With kind of the next patch leaks and the speculation about what's coming, it still feels like really early days to kind of pinpoint exactly what we should expect, but it does feel like some of the cogs are beginning to move in terms of what we talk about when we start to expect patches in Deadlock. Just whether it be speculation, little leaks here and there. Again, just kind of those little things. It feels like it's kind of in the air that things are coming in Deadlock pretty soon. So again, whether that's June, July, August, September, it's always very hard to know with Valve. The timing of the International is interesting. Steam Machine release is interesting. Just a lot of things, again, kind of on the table right now for Deadlock. Either way, very exciting news. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'll try and keep you all updated as much as I can, but until then, we'll see you all next time here at Dead Unlocked.